Okay, today we're going to talk about positive and negative aspects of the graph, as well as the minimum and the maximums. Okay, so first things first, let's look at positive and negative aspects. So when we talk about positive and negative aspects of a graph, basically each graph is divided into 4 quadrants, right? Now, if we just focus on the x-axis, there's 2 quadrants at above that contain positive y values. And there's 2 quadrants below that contain negative y values. And really that's what we're focused on. When we talk about positive, it's everything above the x-axis. When we talk about negatives, it's everything below the x-axis. Okay? So when I want to figure out the positive parts of a graph, I'm looking for everything that is above the x-axis. And just like with increasing, decreasing, we are just writing that down in interval notation. Again, everything is in terms of the x values. So we're looking at which x value the line goes above the x-axis and which x-axis or x value it goes to until it goes back below it. So the positive aspects of the graph is right here, right? Starts at -1, and then it ends at +3. So my interval goes from -1 to +3, and that is my positive parts of the graph. Now the negative aspect of the graph is everything below, right? Now it gets cut in half. There's 2 different, it's not continuous between both sides, right? So I got to do this first interval first, and then I do this second interval. There's 2 intervals there that are negative, right? So for this is going from -infinity to -1. And then I'd have to put a u, and then it starts again negative over here at +3 to infinity. And that is the positive negative aspects of that graph. Now x-intercepts, these are the points, the ordered pairs, where your line is intersecting the x-axis. Why? It's an x-intercept. So this one is intercepting at -1, and again, the ordered pair would be -1, 0. So -1, 0. And I don't have to put a u here because these are just ordered pairs. I could put a comma if I wanted to. And then the other one would be 3, 0. Okay? And that would be your x-intercepts. Y-intercepts where it's crossing the y-axis. Looks like it's crossing right here, +3 on the y-axis. So it would be 0, 3. And that's the only y-intercept there is. And then minimum maximums. So when we talk about minimum maximums, we're basically talking about, I talked about this a little bit with increasing, decreasing, how we don't use the square bracket at these points, right? Because it doesn't quite equal it. So basically what you're looking for with minimum maximums is any part in your line that is changing directions and where it basically is neither increasing or decreasing. So that ordered pair, that point where it's neither increasing or decreasing. And it would be a maximum if it starts going down afterwards, and it would become a minimum if it starts going up. So there's nothing going up here, so there is no minimum on this. I know there's values that are less, that are lower, but we're specifically looking at those points in our line, our relative points in the line that we see that are changing directions. And this is the only area that we're actually changing directions. So there's no minimum, so none. But maximum, there's one right here, right? This would be a max. Okay? And we want that ordered pair, so it's intersecting or it's maxing out at 1 and 4. So 1, 4 would be the maximum. Okay? Let's do another example here. So let's start with the minimum maximum because that's probably the part that you're most confused at. So again, we're focusing on those parts of the line where it's changing directions. Okay? And I can see one right here, and I can see one right here. Everything else, I know it goes lower, I know it goes maximum or higher, but these are what we call relative minimum maximums. They're the ones that we see on our graph where it's like changing directions. Okay? So if you see a change in direction, basically, you're going to be able to find a minimum and a maximum. Or depending on what one of those or both, if it changes twice. So let's look at this one. This one is changing, so it's going down. So it's maxing out right here, right? This is a max. This, it's going up afterwards, so it's bottoming out, right? This is what we call a minimum. Okay? So that minimum, this is kind of a dumb graph, but it's at 2 and -3. So 2, -3. Actually, wait. These are 0.5s. So it's at 1 and -3. Sorry, my bad. So the minimum would be 1, -3. The maximum's at 0.1 and 1, -1. We'll just say -2. So 0.1 and -2. Okay, it's maybe like -1.9 or something like that, but it's kind of a dumb graph. Anyway, so that's what you're looking for with those. Positive aspects of this graph, again, this is the x-axis, so it looks like it's going up right here at 1.7 to infinity is all going to be above the x-axis. And that means everything below that was all negative, right? So from -infinity to 1.7 would be negative. X-intercepts, it's intersecting right there at 1.7. You'll notice that the positive aspects and the negative aspects are all going to involve your x-intercepts, because that's basically what's happening is when it's crossing the x-axis, it's changing from positive to negative or negative to positive, depending on which direction it's going. Y-intercept, it's crossing right there at 0, -2, or yeah, 0, -2. And that is basically all you're doing for positive and negative and min and max and all that fun stuff.